welcome back to the SBP Podcast Mobile Filmmaking. I'm your host, Susy Botello, and you're listening to episode 185.
We are Fade into Film.
Hey everyone, we're back on the show here. We've got our panelists, Joey Min and Ryan McDonald. How you doing, guys?
Doing good.
What's up?
Yeah.
Hey, the summer's just about here, and I just wanted to say something to Joey, who I've mysteriously called Yogi tonight.
Yeah.
Happy birthday tomorrow.
Oh,
Woo!
shit, it is. It is my birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, dude.
Fuck. Oh, God.
Happy birthday.
Another step closer to death.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. So we're recording this. It's June 12th, and tomorrow's the 13th. And I hope that Joey gets to celebrate it, and no one else forgets that
I'd
it's
like to
Joey's
sleep.
birthday.
I'd like to have people cook for me. I'd like to
That
have
would be
a foot
nice.
massage.
So we're going to talk about some stuff here, but of course we are. It wouldn't be a podcast if we didn't, would it be, Joey?
Yes, boo-boo.
Yeah. Yogi.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk. First of all, I wanted to bring up something. I thought this was really interesting. Everybody who's an Apple person, and not everybody is, you know what? I'm going to make a little disclaimer before I even talk about that. In this show, as you know, this is addressed to everyone who's listening, Ryan and Joey and we just happen to all be iPhone users. However, I want you to know that I stand up for the Android users, okay? I'm not like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like...
An elitist. You're not an Apple.
Yeah,
Apple
Apple
fangirl.
elitist.
She speaks for
type,
herself on this
whatever,
one.
yeah. and that's why I'm bringing this up, because, there's some guests on my podcast who use Android phones, and there's people who use iPhones. But, it's just like there are more iPhone people, I guess, camera users in the mobile filmmaking world that come my way than Android users. So I just want you guys to know that just happens to be like just the way it is. I didn't select these guys based on their on the phones that they're using. Boy, that would be dumb. I selected them to be a part of this show because of their expertise, and they're fun. They know a lot, and they're good filmmakers, and they're good people. So, all right, now that that's out of the way.
I'm just going to say this.
Yeah, go for it.
My phones are hand-me-downs from Steph. I haven't bought a phone for like a very long time. So she just happened to be an Apple iPhone user. Hence, I'm an Apple iPhone user. That's really it.
So if anybody out there has an Android, you want to, a
I'd be
newer...
happy if like Nokia came back, like with the Sidekick. I don't know if you guys remember that shit.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking love that thing.
When you say Sidekick, I don't know what you're referring to.
The white phone where you flick it and it like the screen flips so you could type.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I did have that, but it wasn't a Nokia. I think it was called a Versa. That was the model, but I don't think it was Nokia.
I honestly miss phones that have like those really cool things. Like I had the phone because of the Matrix, Nokia.
Oh, yeah.
That's like a Nokia phone that they use, right? Like the banana phone 6810, whatever it's called. So they made another phone. It's called like 7110, and it has like that button that pops out the cover so you could type. Oh, dude,
yeah.
That was like my favorite fucking phone.
Compared to the screen was bigger.
Yeah.
It's wild,
Yeah.
like showing kids like the Matrix now, and like there's some amazing effects and some things that really changed like what American cinema was doing at the time. But then they have like these phones that now look so dated, when they pop them out.
Right?
And
Isn't that crazy?
I have to also go like, oh yeah, that's called a payphone. Let me see how to explain this. So there was a time, and because so my kids are like, the oldest is 12, so yeah, they're just integrated into this world that already had phones, and the phones had screens already, right? They don't remember a time where there was actually physical buttons, or like a little, like the BlackBerry had like a scroll bolt,
The scroll,
like a ball on it, kind of thing, right?
Oh, I thought the Blackberries kind of looked like those old calculators.
Yeah, like the idea of the BlackBerry, like the big thing at the time was like you could email, and that was like so. So it was like, great for business people because they have to pretentiously email all the time or whatever. But
oh, I know, and that's when, I remember I was out with that phone that I was telling you about when I went to Big Bear to film this feature film from San Diego, and Big Bear is like over 7,000 feet up on top of a mountain. And the day that I got there, I remember the very following morning I had to go because I got there on a Sunday, and all the local, stores, the little stores or whatever, were closed. And the next morning I had to go to Verizon, to the store, to get a new phone because my phone broke for some reason. As soon as I got up there, it stopped working. I remember being out in the woods with the script supervisor, and we were playing around with our phone, and I just saw this little video. It's horrible. It's like 2 pixels or something. And it was like we were shooting a video in the woods, and the sun rays were coming in, and we were making fun. We're like, orbs, look at the orbs, But that's when I started the film festival. That's how bad the video was. And
That's awesome, actually.
That's how bad it was. And I was like, oh, no, this is going to be the future. I mean, we were literally talking about it. That's why we were testing the video on it. And she was like, okay, sure. All right, let's get off that kick. So what I wanted to...
I just like, no, I off track.
I loved it, though. I think I'm sure everyone who's listening probably has a few stories of, what they started out of or with. Aw, your kitty cat. So
sorry.
She's all, yeah. She's all, yeah, I had a Nokia.
The cat likes to come in, jump on my laptop, and then jump into because I'm in a basement. So like the windows in the room are at the ceiling. So that's all it's trying to do. It's just a selfish brat.
Yeah.
But.
So anyway, what I wanted to discuss a little bit, at least bring it up with you guys, because I just think the irony here, it's kind of funny. So, there are feature films that some famous people have shot, like Steven Soderbergh. Everybody knows Tangerine from Sean Baker. That was actually picked up by Magnolia Pictures. They're a distribution. They also do distribution for indie films. But Steven Soderbergh made Unsane and High Flying Bird, which High Flying Bird was produced also by Netflix. But Apple TV is like the number one streaming. It's like everybody's calling it the new HBO, right? And I think it's funny because I was searching and I haven't found a single film that they put on this the Apple TV Plus that was shot on a phone, on an iPhone. Isn't that ironic or weird?
Yeah, actually, I mean, well, is it weird?
I guess.
Well, I mean, they make the iPhone.
With the Soderbergh film, is it something that Netflix, did they commission him with the idea of hey, do it on a mobile? Or he just happened to do it and they picked it up? Or...
So Netflix was showing Tangerine that was shot with a phone a long time before. It might still be there for all I know. And then Steven Soderbergh's film Unsane was like a lot of films that get their distribution, especially if you're a famous director and all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. That was on Netflix. And so then after that, I guess he just asked for Netflix to fund it and produce it. But I don't know who asked who first. I'm assuming that Soderbergh asked Netflix to if they would be willing to fund it and produce it. I'm assuming that. I'm totally assuming. I could be totally wrong. But what I think it's funny is that Apple TV has yet to do that. And we're about to go into the iPhone 16.
Actually, that's a good idea, right? Like, it'd be a good, or at least a good idea for to market their phones. But maybe that's what it is. Maybe now that, with all of these people are, but then again, I guess, I don't know. Yeah, that makes sense.
Perhaps it's
I don't see anything wrong for that.
Yeah, perhaps it's a thing with the infancy of Apple TV in so many ways. Like, because Netflix, Apple TV is another product that Apple is now putting out. Whereas like Netflix, that's just the only product they have.
But Apple TV's been around for.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Netflix Apple TV has been around, but in the company of Apple, though, it's another product. It's another like leg of products that they have. And though they have like produced a handful of films, but are they really trying to catch up with the amount of shows that Netflix and HBO are pushing? I mean, I see the irony in what we're saying as far as you make the product, you make one of the better products of mobile cameras, and yet you don't have any. So
I'm so sorry for all our listeners who are Android users. I have to apologize because you said the better product, their camera.
So, I'm just going to throw the Ryan opinion out there. Like, it's better. I have made years ago, I've only had an iPhone for 9 years.
Only?
Well, but before that I had Samsung, and I made I did make a short film on a Samsung. I can't speak for their products today. At the time, though, I was a very frustrated user because after a year or so, they became like just bricks because it was a paperweight because I could not get it to do anything. Again, I can't speak.
What year was that, if you don't mind me asking, because I hate math?
I think it was like 2012, 2013
that makes sense.
I had a Samsung 3. I can't remember a Galaxy 3. And it was like, hey, I was starting to test the idea of like, let's make short films with phones. So we did a 2-minute short film with the Samsung Galaxy 3. And then later we made a series of films with the iPhone 6. I made a feature film with the iPhone 6. And, when we talk about like, just in my opinion, when we say like, do they have a marketplace over the consumers? Does Apple have that? That's because oftentimes they have a solid product. But
I used to say
we know people, James and Caroline did their film with an Android.
Yeah, they did, and their first one was shot with a Pixel.
Yeah.
So the thing is, though, that people have always been attracted to Apple. Starting out with the Mac, right before the iPhones. I had a lot of friends, and I worked in graphics and all this stuff, and they were always it was always about Macs. I also had a friend who worked with Sony for gaming and stuff like that, and he said they use Maya, which is for gaming. It's gaming software for creating games, video games. And he said that was PC, and that PCs are great for gaming also compared to Apple. And of course, that's always been the case. Every gamer I've ever met has, jacked up a PC in ways that you can't with an Apple or a Mac. And I've met people that are more businessy and don't have, everybody does little things with their family, photos and things like that. But for the creative part, Apple has always been the creative people's choice for the most part because of its simplicity, and it doesn't go through Windows, and they're just, the operating system is a little cleaner for that stuff.
I think it's reliable as well. I've edited
really
on
is.
PC and Mac, and one of them crashes more than the other at the times that I did it, but that's me.
And I agree with you on that. I'm a Mac head too, don't get me wrong. I just want to let our listeners know that, especially because for me, I don't want people to think that, in our film festival, it's all about iPhones. It's like, no. We're focused on your films and your stories, as long as it's a smartphone. It doesn't matter what make or brand it is,
Absolutely. I think that at any point, like, so, if Ryan's shooting it, okay, that's one thing. But if what you have in your back pocket is the other brand that we haven't mentioned, like, that's the one you got, shoot it. Like, use whatever you have, whatever tool you have, make your movie. Absolutely.
So I can tell you that around 2015, 2016, I was watching films that somebody had made with a 1+1, I think it was called. And it was good. I mean, to me, it looked clearer than the iPhone at the time was. I know that more recently, Sony and Samsung are leading in that sense. I also know that Sony is the one that came out with the first 4K camera before Apple did. So there's little things like that as well. I know Pixel was supposed to be very good, but then the way that it worked, their operating system was not so good, but their camera was good. And I don't know how they are today. I mean, I think there are so many brands out there. I think we mentioned this in the show before with Joey, about the different brands of smartphones that there are around the world that don't even exist here in the US, that have come through our film festival, even, where I've had to Google it and it's like, wow, I've never heard of this. What is this? So I just think that this whole thing of Apple TV, because they're saying, and I don't have a source like, statistics. I did not dive in to do research on this. This is just something that just came up a few minutes ago in my head. Wow, look at that, and I did a very brief search and I couldn't find any movies that they have, but they're saying, hey, Apple TV Plus is the #1 streaming channel right now. And people are saying, hey, I've heard it on social media. They're the closest one. They're becoming the HBO of cable for streaming services. And I know that they produce a lot of their own shows. So they almost also have another layer of, why wouldn't you produce a feature film? If you remember the commercials, Ryan, that we were talking about this before, that commercial that they would hire really good directors, more Hollywood type directors, to film their little commercial videos. And I was like, wow, you could have hired Ryan or Joey, or, you know what I mean? Or any of the winners of any of our film festivals to do that instead of hiring some famous person. It was like this last commercial that they did for their camera, right? The iPhone 15, where they were in a studio to show off their camera instead of doing the real world thing. And I think, to me, that falls into the real world thing. It's like, you make iPhones, you're talking about how great your cameras are. Why aren't you producing movies with that, even if it is a Hollywood director?
At least they're not rejecting content if it's made with another product, though. Because then we'd be kind of like full circle in the cinema of things, of where it was like back in the day when it was like, it had to be, Paramount movies that only showed at Paramount theaters, kind of thing.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, it seems like it would be a flagship if they produced a film and shot it on one of their products and then pushed it out exclusively on their streaming service.
Yeah. What do you think, Joey?
Well, I mean, because I think it's kind of like the whole experience. I don't think there's enough like films, right, made by the iPhone to even garner the idea of having a service just for iPhone. But then again, there are movies, and that would be really cool if Apple TV does show, just a selection. But I don't know how much that would cost them to actually promote that type of stuff. Like, hey, here's like a 2-minute short film these idiots made in New Jersey about like Zorro. That's not, like something like that, right?
Well,
like how
I mean a feature film, like produced kind of like High Flying Bird by Steven Soderbergh. That's a full feature film. And the guy from Dune, I forgot the actor's name. Oh my God. Ryan, help.
Timothy.
No.
Josh
The one from the original Dune.
Oh, Kevin McLaughlin?
Yes.
Kyle
he was
MacLachlan?
in that. Yes. See how good I am? I'm like, sure, Kevin, why not?
yeah, but like
Kevin,
that's what
you
I'm
need to
saying,
turn
though,
to me
is it-
for the trivia part.
You're the IMDb of our show. So, if they wanted to, Joey, I just think, hey, you could produce just like they produce their own content. It's like, hey, let's bring it up to, let's approach Steven Soderbergh. And let's ask him to make an iPhone. He's not tied to Netflix now, as far as I know. But there's also Steven Spielberg. Not that we're saying all the Stevies, but Sean Baker. Let's approach one of them. Or let's just approach George Lucas. I don't know. Just anyone to produce a full-on feature film, just like any of the films that we have, and ask them to do it on an iPhone. We'll support them, fund it, and then it's an exclusive film that they show, or even a TV show.
I mean, we're not on their,
that we show.
We're not on their marketing team, but it does seem as though like if your new phone's coming out and it has all these amazing features, like wouldn't it be a thing to like have someone shoot a movie with that new phone that's not available and then push it out there and make it look great? And
I mean, they could even place it as part of the movie. You know what I mean? I mean, they would have so many options. Hey, you know what, Timmy? Tim Cook, listen to this and consider it, because I think it would be great. And I think anyone who's listening to this, if you have something, you want to add into this, just message us, email me, whatever. Just let me know your input on social media. Share that you listened to it, and make a comment on this, because I think it would be a great idea for Apple to do this, or any other brand out there that happens to. It just so happens to be that a phone maker also happens to have a really good streaming channel.
Okay, so I have seen Apple create ads to market to the film, like the mobile filmmaker. Like they've made like a couple of short films or like ads for it. Like there's that one with Jesus, I should know the guy's name. I totally forgot which stunt coordinator it is. But it's the Apple iPhone like like the snowball fight with the kids.
Oh yeah.
Right? So obviously Apple has done it in terms of, I guess, like testing the waters of how many people, like, because it seems like if the idea of creating listings for iPhone made movies, right? Like it's that seems still like a very niche market to appeal to get these people to buy phones. You know what I mean? Because that's like, if you're a filmmaker, like, don't get me wrong, yeah, it's nice, like, it's nice to make films on a phone, but
I'm about to kick you out of the podcast here, Joey.
Yeah, but like,
You're like, don't get me wrong. No,
well, as a
I got you.
filmmaker, I'm a filmmaker too, right? Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't I want to learn every piece of technology or equipment that I could to become a better filmmaker? Like this, like I love, like, there's definitely mobile filmmaking. I definitely have use for it. I do it whenever I can. I've done, obviously like bigger and I'm putting a little bit more because I still think there's that very weird budget. Like there's a certain point where the budget on making a film on a phone seems ludicrous, and that you shouldn't do it that way. But at the same time, so that's why it's kind of like.
And for me, it's like, hey, you're inspiring people. But the point of this is Apple makes the damn phone. They market this phone, and they have this complete platform, right, for streaming films shot with the phone. It's like, hey, I bake cakes and I have a bakery, but I'm not going to sell my cakes at my bakery. you know?
But that's like, the analogy is kind of wrong though. What if you had a bakery that focused on like, I don't know, European style bakeries, but you know how to make like Southeast Asian pastries? You're not going to
Yeah,
sell
but
that
that's
at
not
your-
what I said. That's
but
not what I'm,
that's what
yeah.
well, I'm saying that's I think it's more, the whole point is that, yeah, like
They're marketing to filmmakers. They're marketing their camera to filmmakers.
It could be that right now the filmmakers that they're trying to pull in, like the Coens one of the Coen brothers did the Macbeth movie, and it could be that they're like you mentioned Steven Spielberg, but it's like I don't know that Steven Spielberg's going to make a movie on a phone, and because like Chris Nolan wants to shoot in IMAX or something like that, like so it could be that they're just not tapping the right resource, and they probably could call Soderbergh and say, hey, let's do this thing, and. But I think that they're, from my impression of the content that I see on Apple TV, they're trying to be, the content,
top notch,
is like at the highest level that it can possibly be, and again, 100% support anybody who wants to make a movie on a phone, and we've talked endlessly about the possibilities of what you can do with it. It does have its limitations, and that might be something that's was holding Apple back from doing it. However, it is I agree with you, it's a marketing opportunity, absolutely. So they should.
Yeah, and
they
it
could
was
explore.
good enough for Netflix, and Netflix is also very picky.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, they might be big, but if your name is Steve, so if you directed 3 Ocean 11 movies, I don't know how picky they are, but like
exactly.
Well,
That's not really that big.
and that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's like if you get a director like Steven Soderbergh to say, "Hey, make that third film, do it for us," right? Mm-hmm. Steven Soderbergh, hats off to him, because the guy has the $1 million camera. Basically, we've said this before. Why would somebody with $1 million camera pick an iPhone? And Steven Spielberg shot a music video with an iPhone just for kicks and giggles or whatever, but it was a music, he shot it all in one shot. Mm-hmm. Then, Steven Soderbergh did it. I think that film, High Flying Bird, with Kyle
MacLachlan, I think.
He was, I think that was in 2018 or something. So, and I'm just going off the top of my head here, but anyways, that was years ago, and the iPhone has improved a lot, is, what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. But okay. You guys ready to change the subject a little bit?
Sure.
Yes, roll.
I wanted to talk about, since we're talking about, streaming services and stuff a little bit here. Joey,
yes.
Let me ask you something about, you've used YouTube for your feature films. And then you use, Art School Dropouts. We're going to drop it. Drop the name. Get it? Art School Dropout. Okay, whatever. So you use it for that a lot, YouTube. It's a perfect platform for that. But for feature films, like the feature films that you've made, you've shared them and distributed them in YouTube. What can you share for our listeners about that experience, or why it works and why it doesn't? Either way.
And just this the in distribution itself, like what are the benefits of it? And
well, it's a platform that what I'm looking to share with our listeners is what they could do with their feature films if Netflix isn't picking it up or something like that, right?
Okay. So luckily enough, like actually the first feature that we did as a group of Art School Dropouts actually got picked up by a company called Digital Media Rights. They're not around anymore. They got bought out, but these were the people that basically, because distribution is kind of a weird thing, right? Like there's the companies out there that just buy like a whole batch of movies of various degrees of quality. Because what I'm saying is that our movie sucks when we made it, but everybody starts from there. But regardless is that they pick it up and they could sell that as a batch to, like, say Netflix or Hulu or whatever, or Amazon or whatever, so they could have so it like loads up their library, right?
Yeah.
And of course, I'm not Steven Soderbergh. So it's not like, my movies are amazing or anything, but we did get picked up, and it was on a bunch of streaming stuff. But we weren't really given the love and attention that we thought we would have, because we thought, oh my God, we made it, right? So, and especially like since I know that Ryan here also has his film on Amazon. Amazon takes 40%, right? And if you go through if you have a distribution company, they take a big percentage too, or they could possibly take a little bit. But like our distributor back then, they took like another 40%. So we were like not really making a lot. So obviously, like if your movie is great and people are watching, and you do your proper marketing, yeah, you'll make a lot more. But yeah, distribution, there are many ways. Obviously, like there's Amazon, Tubi. There's honestly, there's a lot of like distribution platforms out there. But obviously, we like YouTube because one, we're YouTubers first, and two, if it's really just to get your name out there, to get your work to be seen, because that's really kind of how it starts. YouTube is very grassroots. Being an independent filmmaker on YouTube isn't really the best place to be at, because the environment really doesn't cater to that narrative type of long form content. But at least it's something that is accessible to a lot of people that you could share your work with. Like you put your portfolio there. Then maybe once you're at a certain point, you are able to actually consider trying to monetize your stuff, and you could look at other stuff. But that's why now actually like this week, or I think last week, we just pulled our movies off of that company, and we pulled it off of Amazon and all these other streaming platform places, because we're looking at self-distributing our own stuff. So so we are able to make 100% of everything that we put out there.
Yeah, you don't have to split it so much, because you do get cents on the. I think the issue with filmmakers also is the numbers of people they think they're going to get on YouTube versus another streamer, and they're weighing that against the money that they're going to make. But
it's also the I guess the mindset of certain I guess as a filmmaker, right? Like I know that maybe I know there was a time where I was like, I will only upload my shit to Vimeo. Because
I was just going to bring that up, Joey. Vimeo has dropped out of this conversation a lot.
Because that was the whole like, I'm a fucking filmmaker. I am not, you know what I mean? And it's
the quality on video. The quality on Vimeo is better, and it doesn't throw in all the ads.
But well, true. But the question is though, here's the thing, right? Like it's really there is that pride now. Like I realized after being on YouTube, right? Like, what is my pride as a filmmaker, right? Like, there are things that I won't ever budge on, but at the same time, I really would like still my work to be seen, or to be accessible for the people that want to get to know my work. And I know a lot of people or filmmakers that didn't really even put time in their craft yet to make their projects good, and they're already thinking about like, this thing is gonna be behind a paywall. Like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna, like, hey dude, this is your first feature film and you never made short films before and your film is not that great. And then they're already thinking about, oh, I'm gonna make DVDs. I'm gonna just have this on. You know what I mean? It's kind of at that point. It's like, okay, like, do you actually care about your movie, or do you just care about how you feel? Like, oh, I'm a filmmaker. There's that balance, right? Because now I realize after a while that the creative part of me also goes against the business part of everything. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes
you're indie.
Yeah, right. Like
that's
I know
where your heart is, anyways.
Yeah, my heart is in indie, definitely. But like I still would like to have people see my work, so I could also gauge the quality of what I'm doing, and I don't ever want to feel too comfortable with the shit that I've been doing. Right. Like, so I still want to, I want to get better. And the only way for me to get better at doing what I'm doing is, one, keep doing it more, but also be honest and decide who I'm doing it for. Is it for me?
You have to challenge yourself, Joey.
Well, but that's the thing, right? Like, am I a filmmaker that wants to just make mainstream Disney stuff, or do I want to make a movie like specifically for me? Like, oh, this is a type of movie I like. seeing, and no one makes them anymore. So I'm gonna make it. So I enjoy it. But I know that if I enjoy it, I'm sure there's at least like 3 other like guys out there that would like it, and they'll like what I'm doing, and I feel good as a filmmaker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's I'm kind of in between knowing how corporate I'm able to go without me feeling like really icky about like my loss of creativity, if that makes any sense, right?
Well, and we're talking about obviously self-distribution as opposed
Right.
to going through the middle person, the agent that is going to take 50% basically on top of the 50% or whatever it
Yeah.
is that you're going to end up getting
Right.
anyway. So,
But that's also
they
me being
also
able-
have connections to maybe
Yes.
even give you the distribution, like
Right.
like with Tangerine, for example, it had a theater run, and I know of another one. It wasn't here in the U.S. I think here in the U.S. it's really hard to get that theater run as an indie film, but definitely as a mobile film. It's just we're not there yet, right? To get
Right.
the theater run from an agent or having them twist arms, because they have relationships with these people, so they can only twist an arm so much.
No, exactly. I that's why it's like, important as a, I feel it's important for indie filmmakers or like, upstart filmmakers to, the first thing, like distribution is something that you should really think about. Obviously near, like when you're at a certain point where you feel as though that your work is, viable enough to garner that type of, criticism that you can handle when you are asking people to pay for your art, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And that's why I think, and I'm thankful that I've gotten to a point that, like our group has, like, people that would like to watch our stuff, and I'm able to ask for help now. Like, hey guys, if you guys pay for this, I can continue to work on this, and I don't have to work the 3 other jobs that I do. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
Right.
but that's the thing. So I mean, distribution, YouTube, ultimately, if you really think about it, like you can scale up on YouTube by itself. You could upload it free, but then you could also monetize that. Then you could also get ads on that. So distribution is it's really perspective.
Well, you can do something else with YouTube. You can get the private link, right? And then go to, Patreon or something and have
Yeah.
people pay for it. Shop. They have a shop now, right? On Patreon. And you can offer the viewing of that movie, by selling the link basically for them to watch it.
Yes.
So that's another it's more creative, and it's not something everybody's doing. But I mean, there are ways that you can at least keep your pride a little bit with a feature film.
Because at that point, it really is the question is like, what does your pride allow you to do?
Because then people are going to talk about it, and there's always that when you share it on social media, not the link for it, but hey, I just watched this film, or promoting your film, and I know people there's always someone that asks, where can I watch the films from the film festival if I wasn't at the film festival? And I'm like, well, unfortunately, it takes a lot of work to load up 50 films or something. You know what I'm saying? And not all the filmmakers want their films uploaded to YouTube. I remember Married with Children, we did that, right? I
didn't make a movie called Married with Children, but yeah, Mary's loving it though.
I love that show.
Oh my gosh. Married and loving it. Yeah. So what about you? You've got your film on Amazon. Why don't you share a little bit about that process that you went through to get that done?
Yeah, I mean, to weigh in on the opinion that you guys were already talking about as far as like the YouTube, and I'm probably not the best person when it comes to like distribution things. I mean, it sounds like Joey's he's been able to successfully sell his films through distribution. I know last time Levi was on, his newest feature film is now going through distribution that was picked up as well. And I guess that's one aspect that I really probably should pull from these two and kind of figure out. At the time that I made, there's a version of Ryan before Married and Loving It that was the aspiring filmmaker who had made a ton of short films and had always dreaded. I was never sure I was going to make a feature film, and I so desperately wanted to, and I was also in fear that one day I would die, and it never happened. Simply because, not because I wasn't hardworking or that I wasn't talented. There was various maybe people I put in my corner or that weren't really like on my side or whatever. And so I wasn't, for me, it wasn't about making a movie that was going to be profitable, that could sell really well. It was about making a movie for me. And I picked Amazon over YouTube because I felt like YouTube's great, obviously, and you can upload, but everybody can upload to YouTube. You can Google gardening videos on YouTube, kind of things like that, and that's why we have Vimeo, I guess. But for me, it felt like an accolade to get something onto Amazon. And when you tell people that you have a movie that's on Amazon, there's a different way that they respond compared to if it was on YouTube. Yet, saying that, I absolutely put all my short films on YouTube and the trailers and things like that. So again, the world of Ryan before he made Married and Loving It, when he was just doing that, I didn't know that I was going to later go on to travel to all these festivals and then be on this podcast regularly. And so like, that person wasn't there. So things have changed now for my next feature film and what I'll be doing and maybe thoughts around distribution and stuff like that. But for Amazon, the reality is that the Amazon allows you to self-publish. But they won't at the moment. I don't think they are anymore, but they're not taking short films anymore.
Most of them don't.
Yeah. So you can self-distribute on Amazon, but what you do need to have is subtitles. And if you have a movie like Married and Loving It, where there's, every moment of the movie is dialogue, there's a lot of subtitles to be had.
Wait, you mean subtitles or closed caption? Closed caption is for people who can't hear, and subtitles is for like different languages.
Okay, so you have to have closed caption. You have to have at least English, like.
Yeah, because they'll tell you the sounds. It's not just the dialogue; it's also the sounds. Door closes. Things like that have to be described. I didn't.
Yeah, luckily I didn't blow up a bus, so I'm good. I didn't have to do that part.
Well, but you did fall down the stairs with that vacuum cleaner cord.
So, coming back to YouTube though, YouTube has that option. So I reached out to a few companies that do provide closed captioning or subtitles, however you want to say it. And there was a quote back that was actually more than what I spent on just making the movie itself.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I feel like we should make a company where we just like closed caption for people.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, one of the things you can do on YouTube is you upload it privately.
And that's what I did.
You turn on closed caption and then you copy and paste later the clip. You still have to edit that, but hey.
So
right?
that's what I did. It took me quite a while. It took me nights of sitting here. You guys don't know where I'm at, but anyways, sitting at the laptop with the film on YouTube in a private link, and you have to notate like where it's happening, and then you can't just copy and paste your script because we said different things. We kind of ad-libbed or we changed things, so you have to kind of move things around and whatnot. And so then once you're done, you can actually download that file, just that single file, not the whole video, but just the text file for your film, and then uploaded it.
I'm just surprised that they make you do your own closed captions, because if YouTube doesn't, why wouldn't they be able to automate that as well?
Yeah, I don't know, but YouTube doesn't automate it. Well, I mean, maybe they do, but like I typed in.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, well, a couple years ago, I typed it all in. And I had a festival that was in Panama for Frankencock, and they wanted Spanish subtitles, so I had to convert things into, and I don't.
How do you translate
Yeah.
that? I love it.
You have to.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you have to hire. Well, there's services now. I mean, look, I know, I can tell you for a fact that there's been some short films that I can tell they've been subtitled in English and they just went to Google Translate and copied and pasted. But these are very short films that we're talking about here.
Yeah.
You know, and so, and I don't expect people to go too far out for a short mobile film to make that really hard for them. I'm trying to empower them, and inspire them, not turn them away with those kinds of things. But yeah, that's really interesting. And I know also, so if you were to go through an agent, they wouldn't have done all that work.
Mm-hmm.
They would have found a distributor. They would have told you, even if you didn't know that you could self-submit, they would have said, oh, okay, we can distribute it for you on Amazon. And then they still would have told you have to do that work.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you want to pay more for their people to do it.
Yeah. And like I said,
actually, I mean, the distributor that we had,
yeah,
there was extra charges for them,
yep.
you know, for like the whole, subtitling.
You want
and
fries
captioning.
with that burger, you got to pay more.
yeah.
And you gotta pay them. You gotta pay them for that.
Yeah. Although right now with AI and everything, it probably, I mean, they'll still charge you like it's a human doing it, but you know, there's so many ways of doing things now.
So again, I was, from my perspective, I just really wanted to make the film, and then I wasn't concerned necessarily about the money we would make back. I didn't want to die without making a feature film, and that's what we have. And then, and for Amazon, it was just a matter of, I felt like, and I love YouTube, it's obviously garnered many opportunities for me, but it felt like it cheapened it in that kind of way.
Well, I think that's, you know, I did have another topic, but I think we can save that one for the next episode.
Yeah, that was pretty hefty.
Yeah, I think we, you know, I hope we entertained you guys, but I also hope that we gave you some stuff to look into for your films, because we talk a lot about the movie making aspect of filmmaking with phones, but there's this whole other aspect of it. Yes, there are films that are on Tubi and Amazon and Netflix, obviously, that are shot with mobile phones, but your road to getting there, it just depends on you doing self-distribution. If you're making a film with a phone, you're most likely not going to want to hire an agent to do this unless you have that kind of funding. But it certainly helps to know people who can at least show you the way in that direction. People know people. So that's one way of doing it, right, guys?
Awesome.
All right. So say goodnight to our listeners.
Good night, listeners. What if they listen to this in the morning?
Yeah,
Well, all right. Say goodbye to our listeners. Yogi.
Boo boo.